Hey, thanks for tuning in to Twang and Bang. Being able to see at night is something that only military, law enforcement, and the wealthy used to have access to. Fortunately, prices have really come down. They're a fraction of what they were even just 5 years ago. And applications of night vision technology have been rapidly expanding. That's where the Binox from ATN come in. It's a digital day-night viewer with built-in Wi-Fi, built-in GPS, even has a built-in illuminator. It's designed for people who want to record what they see day or night, but don't want to or don't need to spend thousands of dollars to get the latest in night vision technology. I've been using these for about 5 months now, and with the latest software upgrade, they offer a combination of features you just don't find in anything else in the price category. And that's why they're coming up next on Twang and Bang. The ATN Binox is a digital day-night viewer built in the form of traditional binoculars. However, instead of focusing light gathered by two objective lenses directly into your eyes, the Binox gives you two little screens fed by a digital sensor located in the right tube. The left tube houses a factory collimated, focusable IR illuminator with a claimed 300-yard range, but I've found it effective beyond that. The ruggedized housing is water resistant with a rubber cover over ports for USB, HDMI out, and a micro SD card. A 1/4 by 20 insert allows you to mount the Binox to any standard tripod mount, which I recommend for recording or any extended use. 3 CR123A batteries are included and can be left in the Binox indefinitely without significant power loss. ATN's Wi-Fi app is called Obsidian, and it's available for iOS and Android devices. Obsidian allows you to control and program all of the settings remotely, including day-night mode, screen brightness, illuminator brightness, and even nighttime screen color. The app also includes a nearly lag-free viewfinder option. You can see whatever the Binox sees and even control the zoom straight from your smartphone or tablet. This will be extremely valuable as a shooter communicating with a spotter or even just to share what you see with others in real time. One of the coolest features of the Binox is the display. You can choose between a simplified version or this extended version. Bearing is obviously shown at the top so you know which direction you're looking. Degrees cant is at the left so you know when you're not holding the Binox level. Inclination is on the right, which you can use in your ballistics calculator when you need to make a shot from elevation. Time of day, magnification power, and whether or not you have an SD card inserted are also displayed without cluttering the image. The number next to that flag in the upper left is a distance number. You can either enter that manually, which I simply don't use, or you can use the Binox's built-in rangefinder to calculate the distance to an object, and the solution is displayed there. Before I talk about the rangefinder, I just want to mention that in order to show you all of the widgets, settings, and menus as you see them through the Binox, I had to record via a laptop using the Binox's HDMI output, and the software needed to do this has a several second lag. So the herky-jerky movements you'll see aren't really representative of how easy the rangefinder is to use. The rangefinder isn't a laser or radar or anything like that. Instead, ATN uses trigonometry to calculate the distance to an object of known height. This part is the key. The more accurate your knowledge of the object's height, the more accurate your range estimate will be. Before using the rangefinder, you need to select the settings menu and enter the height of the object you're going to range. ATN has some rough values for various game animals for you to select, but you can also enter the height manually. From the base of the target to its top is almost 4.5 feet exactly, so that's what I entered, and I made sure the manual entry is selected. Next, you place the line beneath the arrow right on the top edge of the object. It's much easier than what you see here because I'm having to fight the lag between adjusting the Binox and seeing the results on the laptop. Once the top is entered, you repeat the process for the bottom of the object. This target is sitting in grass, so I'm going to estimate where I think the base actually is. It turns out I did a pretty good job because the answer was exactly what my handheld laser rangefinder told me, 161 yards, which is 483 feet. Note that the top arrow automatically appears in case you want to range another object before leaving the rangefinder. Exiting the rangefinder turns off the red highlight on the distance, but the last answer calculated remains on the screen to remind you what to enter into your ballistics calculator before making a shot. Like the X-Sight I previously reviewed, the Binox have a very shallow depth of focus. This can actually be used to find things in cluttered woods and brush, much like many do with standard optical binoculars. By focusing in and out, your attention will only be on a small area of your search at one time. This is especially useful when trying to find antlers among branches and bushes. I will say that standard optics in the same price range are going to be better at this because the Binox image isn't quite a match, but the Binox are capable enough in this regard. Of course, the downside is that anything changing distance from you quickly can move out of focus, which isn't likely to be as much of an issue with the Binox as with the gun sight, but it is important to understand the limitation. The Binox image and its zoom are purely digital, and this is important to understand. At 4 power, you're looking at a full resolution image on screens inside the eyepieces, not unlike the viewfinders on a video camera. This is actually the secret to how the Binox can offer so many features that conventional optics cannot, like superimposing the data widgets seen earlier in the video. However, it also means that as you zoom, the image you see loses resolution proportionally. So at 16 power, the image is 1/4 the resolution you see at 4 power. In daylight, this is still pretty good. You lose details such as being able to see individual blades of grass in this pasture, but you still get enough resolution to see most of what you'd want to know about these horses, such as coloring, coat patterns, body language, and the like. The digital zoom does reduce image resolution, so I was pleasantly surprised that I was still able to see bullet trace with the Binox. With this setup, the trace starts at the left side of the image, arcing with the bullet path all the way to the target. Trace is very important for making aiming corrections when you don't have a solid backdrop behind your target, so it's something I want to be able to see in any optic I'm using to spot for a shooter. Mirage is also something I want to see as a spotter, and here you can see it gently waving from left to right. Though there's grass telling me the exact same thing, Mirage can be all you have to gauge wind over rocky terrain. So once again, I was glad that I can make it out with the Binox. Okay, this is pretty crazy. I've got the Binox about 60 yards away from here, and when I connected via the Wi-Fi, I had 2 bars of signal. Let's see what happens with the app. There it is. It knows it's there. Okay, so let's go to the viewfinder and wait till you see. There I am. There's just a little bit of lag, but wow, that is really cool. Okay, so now let's zoom in. There we go. It's getting the signal from my iPad here all the way to the Binox 60 yards away. Let's see, can you see me talking and matching? I bet you can. I can't look at both places at the same time. That is really cool. Let me back out again. Wow, that's pretty impressive. That could be handy for setting up your Binox somewhere with a bigger battery pack and then have it observing something. Okay, so it blinks out a little bit, but that's not big. That's not a big deal. But you can have it observing a hunting area, observing maybe someplace you're trying to keep security on, day or night from a pretty decent distance. And you've got yourself a little Wi-Fi security camera. That's really cool. Nighttime performance is greatly simplified by the built-in illuminator. It was perfectly aligned with my field of view and easily focusable from a softer flood to a narrow spotlight. The illuminator and light sensitivity are both adjustable, and you'll have to play around with each to find the right pair of settings for what you're viewing. Here, the light sensitivity is set to medium and the illuminator is set to 3 out of 5 with the beam focused at its midpoint. Horses at 160 yards are easily identified at the native 4-power magnification, and with good illumination, the resolution loss tracks that scene in daylight as you crank up the digital zoom. I still prefer the white mode over green as to my eye, the contrast is much more natural. Differences in coat color are also easier for me to recognize in the white mode, which would be important for a farmer or rancher trying to identify an individual animal. I was really impressed with the performance at distance given the place the Binox occupy in the market. The hay feeder is about 660 yards away, and I can still clearly make out individual horses, though this is where the digital zoom does lose its value. Resolution gets bad enough that the horses become dark blobs that would be tough to identify if I didn't already know what I was looking at. Still, the image is at least good enough for you to spot movement if you were scanning for predators or hogs on their way to your blind. The other issue to keep in mind is that any brush or other objects between you and what you want to see can reflect the illuminator right back into the sensor. The sensor will then adjust to the brighter, closer object, and you'll lose clarity on the farther object you want to see. So you'll just have to get used to the fact that what you want to watch can't always be in the center of the Binox's field of view. I found that if I'm getting a lot of backscatter on something between me and what I'm looking at, whether it's brush or a wall or whatever, it's best to dim the illuminator or turn it off altogether because it's not really doing you a whole lot of good. The Binox will adjust to the brightness of that backscatter, so what you're looking at will probably be pretty dark anyway. In certain setups though, you can set up remote IR illumination, like using this IR 850 Pro from ATN. It'll run 20 hours in low, I think it's 6 hours in medium. And you can set it out by, say, a feeder and then set your blind back 100 yards if you want to, and you're gonna get a great view of what's going on through the Binox. Their street price is around $430, and that includes batteries. So I think that's a really, really good price for what you get. If you wanna learn more about the ATN Binox or read my full written review, be sure to check out the link in the video description or find it on my website at twangandbang.net. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and Facebook so you can see what I'm doing in between videos, and click right here to subscribe so you can see my next videos on bows, guns, and other cool stuff. I really appreciate you watching Twang and Bang, and hope to see you next time.